Man, it is whatever I want, Sophia. It's
Ah,
whatever I want. It's me focusing on being the best me that I can be.
Now, I know the podcast bros are somewhere punching the air right now because Michelle Obama, she just said, I'm doing me. And that's got the internet in a full blown meltdown. After years of standing by Barack, being the picture perfect first lady, giving grace under pressure, Sis finally said, I'm living for myself. And some folks cannot handle it. Let's unpack this tea because it's piping hot.
I have to make sure the girls are okay, or my husband's
mm.
president, so I can't I can't do that. What am I doing? Who am I
Yeah,
doing this for? Who do I want to have a lunch with? How long do I want to stay in a place? Do I want to travel? If a girlfriend calls and says, "Let's go here," I can say yes. I can.
yeah.
And
I love it
first
for you so
time in
much.
my life that all of my choices are for me.
You see, Michelle has always been held up as the gold standard. Be like Michelle, they say. Stand by your man. Sacrifice for the dream. But the minute she starts choosing herself, suddenly everybody's whispering, are they getting divorced? Like, what?
This couldn't be a grown woman just making a set of decisions for herself, right?
Right.
That's
Ugh.
the thing that we as women, I think we struggle with like disappointing people. I mean, so much so that this year people were, they couldn't even fathom that I was making a choice for myself, that they had to assume that my husband and I are divorcing.
First of all, don't play with Michelle like that. Second of all, maybe, just maybe, she's tired of being everything to everybody but herself. And you know what? She's allowed. Now, this all popped off after Michelle appeared on Work in Progress, a podcast hosted by Sophia Bush. And when I tell you, she came in with that grown woman energy, whew. Sophia asked her what her life looks like these days, and Michelle said, and I quote, "It is whatever I want. It's the first time in my life all my choices are for me."
Man, it is whatever I want, Sophia. It's
Ah,
whatever I want. It's me focusing on being the best me that I can be.
Baby, I felt that in my soul. And let's not ignore the timing here. This interview came right as the internet started buzzing with this messy little rumor that Barack is having an affair with, wait for it, Jennifer Aniston. Yes, that Jennifer. And look, I'm not here to stir that pot, but I am gonna say what we're all thinking. Barack, you can do better. That's not shade. Actually, scratch that. It is shade, heavy shade, overcast. But back to the real story. Michelle. This woman carried the emotional weight of the White House for 8 years. Every speech, every outfit, every expression was analyzed. She raised 2 daughters, held her man down, and still found time to write a best-selling book and inspire millions. And now that she wants to live a little, y'all want to question her loyalty? Please.
We
yeah,
start actually finally like going, what am I doing? Who am I
yeah.
doing this for? And if it doesn't fit into the sort of stereotype of what people think we should do, then
hmm
it gets labeled as something negative and horrible.
Let's talk about the double standard. When a man says, I need space, everyone's like, he's working on himself. But when a woman does it, suddenly she's selfish, cold, or the marriage must be in trouble. No, ma'am, not today. Michelle explained that for so long, her life was about everyone else. Her kids, her husband, her role, her image. She admitted she used to avoid making decisions for herself, always saying things like, I have to make sure the girls are okay, or my husband is the president. But now, that part of her life is done. And she's not blaming anyone. She's just owning her power. She said, I can't blame my indecisions on anyone anymore. I could have made a lot of these decisions years ago, but I didn't give myself the freedom. Now I am.
I can't blame my decisions and indecisions on anyone other than me. I think if I'm honest with myself, I could have made a lot of these decisions years ago, but
Mm.
I didn't give myself that freedom.
And let me tell you, that freedom, it's got folks shook. Because the second Michelle took a breath for herself, folks couldn't process it. They jumped straight to, are they separating? Like the only reason a woman would want autonomy is because her marriage is falling apart. But what if, and hear me out, what if she's just grown, evolved, happy? Now here's where I get fired up. Where are the podcast bros now? You know, the ones always preaching about submission, sacrifice, be like Michelle. She's the blueprint. Well, guess what? Your blueprint just changed the rules. She's saying, yes, I supported my husband, but now I'm supporting me.
Now is the time for me to start asking myself these hard questions of who do I truly want to be every day?
And y'all don't want to talk about that, huh? You were quoting her when she said marriage isn't 50-50, when she said sometimes you're only happy 60% of the time. But now that she's living on her own terms, suddenly you've got nothing to say. Suddenly it's, we don't know what's going on in their marriage. Nah, keep that same energy. Barack even admitted he's in a sleep deficit from his presidency. He said he's trying to dig himself out by doing fun things with Michelle. Sir, you've had years. Nap time is over. It's time to match her energy. Because let's not forget, Michelle was there every step of the way. From the campaign trail to the inauguration stage, from bedtime stories to state dinners. And now that she's out here brunching, traveling, and maybe doing a little solo yoga, suddenly it's a crisis? Nah, that's just balance, baby. Let's be real. A lot of y'all are not married to Barack Obama. You're married to dudes who ghost you on Wednesdays and still expect Michelle-level devotion. Meanwhile, Michelle is reminding us, if you're gonna give 90%, you better be able to receive 90% too. Period. And this part hit me deep. She talked about how society expects women to never disappoint anyone. She said people couldn't even imagine that she made a decision just for herself. They had to turn it into something negative. She's divorcing Barack. She's bitter. She's cold. No, sweetheart. She's just free. She said, we start asking ourselves, what am I doing this for? And if the answer doesn't fit into what society expects, it gets labeled as wrong. Whoa. If that ain't truth, I don't know what is. And again, this isn't to say Barack and Michelle are in trouble. It's just that Michelle is finally being vocal about what it really took to build that image. And the truth? It required a whole lot of Michelle putting herself second. But now, it's her season. And I love that for her. So let's stop acting brand new. Let's stop acting like women can't grow, change, and prioritize themselves without it meaning their whole world is falling apart. Maybe she's not showing up everywhere with Barack because she's doing something radical, like enjoying her own life. So tell me this, why is that such a threat? Maybe the bigger question isn't, where's Barack? Maybe it's, why did it take this long for Michelle to get to this place? Because Michelle Obama isn't just living, she's thriving. And she's reminding every woman watching that you don't need a crisis to take control of your joy. You don't need a scandal to choose yourself. You just need courage. And baby, Michelle's got it. So, what do you all think? Is Michelle showing us what real growth looks like? Is the world finally ready to hear that the fairy tale has real work behind it? Or are people just mad that the perfect wife isn't playing by their rules anymore? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Because if there's one thing we're always gonna do here, it's give flowers to women who choose themselves, even when the world says they shouldn't. Shout out to Michelle for keeping it honest, living on her terms, and showing us what it means to grow, unapologetically. I'll see y'all in the next video.